Have you ever felt that? That subtle, kind of constant pressure? It seems to be coming from everywhere: the government, the news, even some of the most powerful people on the planet. And the message is simple: you should be having more kids. Well, I'm here to tell you it is not just in your head. There's a massive multi-billion-dollar push happening right now, all over the world, with one goal: getting you to procreate. And today, we are going to pull back that curtain and find out what's really going on. And this quote from Elon Musk, wow, it just cuts right to the heart of it. I mean, think about it. When one of the richest people in the world, a guy who is literally building rockets to go to Mars and AI to reshape our world, says the single biggest problem we face is a lack of people, you kind of have to stop and ask, what is he seeing that we aren't? This isn't just some random comment. It's a core belief for a whole new class of global power brokers. And it's a belief they're working hard to make a reality. So, here's our game plan for unpacking this whole thing. First, we'll look at the massive scale of this global baby push. Then, we're going to dig into the official reason they give us and see why that story has some serious holes. After that, we peel back the first layer to get to the unspoken economic reasons. Then we go even deeper into Silicon Valley's really grand, almost sci-fi plan. And finally, we'll bring it all back down to earth, to you, and see how a really personal choice has turned into a powerful act of financial rebellion. Okay, let's start by following the money. And we're not talking about small-time programs or little tax breaks here. No. We are talking about hundreds of billions of dollars of taxpayer money being spent every single year all across the developed world. Governments are pulling out all the stops, using this classic carrot and stick approach to basically engineer a baby boom. It's a fascinating and, frankly, sometimes desperate global campaign. And this really lays out their two-pronged strategy perfectly, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the carrot, all the goodies. Countries are offering everything from big cash bonuses. I mean, South Korea and Russia are literally handing out thousands of dollars for having a baby, to tax breaks, paid leave, even help with housing. But, well, when the carrot doesn't work, out comes the stick. We're seeing talk of extra taxes that specifically target single or childless people. We've even seen taxes on contraception. And in the most extreme cases, you see reports of places like Russia trying to make a child-free lifestyle basically illegal. It's a full court press, using both reward and punishment. So, what's the deal? Why this enormous worldwide effort? Well, if you ask any politician or read most news articles, you're going to hear the same two words over and over and over: demographic collapse. It sounds pretty scary, right? And that's the point. It's designed to make us feel like we're on the edge of a crisis. But what does it actually mean? And more importantly, does the official story even hold water? Okay, so this is the official line. The whole argument is that our society is built like a pyramid. You have this big base of young, working people paying taxes, and they support the smaller group of retirees up at the top through things like Social Security. But with birth rates falling and people living a lot longer, that pyramid is starting to look less like a pyramid and more like a wobbly rectangle. The big fear is that the whole thing gets top-heavy and just falls over, leaving nobody to pay for pensions or work in hospitals. It sounds pretty logical, doesn't it? Except, when you look a little closer, the story starts to fall apart. I mean, if our biggest problem is a shortage of young workers, then why is youth unemployment a massive crisis in so many of these same countries? Why is the competition for any half-decent entry-level job just absolutely brutal? We're told we're running out of young people, but we seem to be doing a really bad job of giving the ones we already have a fair shot. And then you've got places like Switzerland actually talking about capping their population. It just doesn't add up. And this brings us to a much, much more uncomfortable question. You know what a Ponzi scheme is, right? It's a fraud that pays off the early investors using money from new investors. To keep going, it needs a constant, always growing stream of new cash coming in at the bottom. So, when you hear that our economic system needs a constant, always growing stream of new people coming in at the bottom, does that structure sound a little familiar? It really makes you wonder if our whole system is built like a generational Ponzi scheme, one that's just not sustainable without a constant supply of new blood. All right, so if the whole demographic collapse story is, let's say, incomplete, what are the real reasons? Let's peel back that first hidden layer. Because under all the talk about caring for our seniors, there's a much colder, more bottom-line reality. The economic system as it's built right now has this insatiable hunger. And the thing it's hungry for is more humans. From a cold, hard economic view, a newborn isn't just a baby. It's three things all at once. First, it's a future consumer, a brand new person who will buy things for the next 80 years.
Second, it's a future worker, another person to add to the labor pool, which helps keep wages from getting too high. And third, and this one is the real kicker, it's a future debtor, a new taxpayer who will spend their life helping to pay off the massive debts we've already racked up.
Let's just pause on that for a second, because that idea is pretty wild. The moment a child is born, they essentially inherit their share of the national debt. They become, for all intents and purposes, a new financial asset for the country. Their future lifetime of tax payments acts as a guarantee on government bonds, bonds that are mostly owned by the wealthiest people and biggest corporations. So in a very real way, you're not just having a baby, you are creating a brand new guarantor for a debt they had absolutely nothing to do with. And this gets to the worker part of it. Why are big corporations and the super rich so keen on population growth? Well, it's Econ 101 really. It's just supply and demand. If you have a huge supply of something, in this case, workers, the price for it, your salary, tends to stay down. A constant flood of new people competing for the same jobs gives employers all the power when it comes to negotiating pay and benefits. It's the simplest way to keep the cost of labor from rising. And this right here, this is maybe the biggest hypocrisy in the entire debate. The very same tech billionaires who are on TV warning about the disaster of not having enough young workers are at the same time pouring hundreds of billions of dollars into creating AI with the very clear goal of automating and replacing those exact same human workers. It's an incredible win-win for them, isn't it? If the AI takes your job, great. And if it doesn't, they want to make sure there's a long line of your kids ready to do it for less. But the raw economics are only part of the story. If you really want to get inside the heads of the tech elite, we have to go even deeper. We have to look at this unique, almost religious worldview that has completely taken over Silicon Valley. This isn't just about next quarter's profits anymore. This is about a grand vision for the destiny of all humanity. So a lot of these tech leaders are really into this philosophy called long-termism. The basic idea is that our number one job is to make sure humanity survives for trillions of years and eventually colonizes the galaxy. And from that huge perspective, today's problems, things like poverty or climate change, they're seen as small potatoes compared to the one thing that could stop our cosmic journey, extinction. And to them, a declining population is the ultimate threat. They don't just want more babies for the economy. They see it as creating the human rocket fuel needed to achieve our interstellar destiny. Now, as grand and philosophical as all that sounds, there is a much more immediate, data-driven, and, let's be honest, commercial reason at play here. It's a motive that completely changes what a human being is and turns them into a whole new kind of natural resource. And this gets to a really critical point about the new economy. You know the saying, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product? Well, this is the next level. Every newborn represents a brand new, clean slate, a new data set. For the next 80+ years, that person is a fresh stream of clicks, likes, searches, and location data. That is the raw material that feeds AI and powers these trillion-dollar advertising companies. As older people pass on, their data gets old. New births ensure the digital immortality of these platforms, giving them a never-ending supply of the one resource they need to survive. Okay, so we've looked at the big government push, the cold logic of the economy, and the wild dreams of billionaires. But now, let's bring it all back home. Let's talk about your personal reality. Because all of these huge abstract forces, they smash right into your world of trying to pay rent, buy groceries, and maybe, just maybe, save for a future that feels more uncertain every day. And this is where the complete disconnect just becomes so obvious, isn't it? They are demanding you produce a new worker, while you might be fighting just to find a decent, stable job yourself. They're demanding you create a future taxpayer to fund pensions, while the idea of your own retirement feels like a complete fantasy. They demand a new consumer, while you're watching every penny as inflation just chews through your savings. The hypocrisy is just breathtaking. And here's the painful truth of it all. For so many people, this isn't some philosophical debate. A lot of people really deeply want to have kids, but then they look at the insane cost of housing, of childcare, of healthcare, and they realize they just can't afford to give a child the life they think they deserve. And in this economy, starting a family has started to shift from being a basic human experience to being a luxury item. It's become a quiet status symbol that you've made it. So when you look at it through that lens, the personal decision to wait on having kids, or maybe not have them at all, starts to feel like something more. It stops being just a lifestyle choice. It transforms into this quiet but really powerful act of financial rebellion. It's a personal refusal to supply another worker for a brutal job market, another debtor for a bloated system, and another data set for an endless cycle of advertising. It's a way of taking back a little bit of control. So we've gone through all of it, we've seen the official story, and we've uncovered the hidden layers beneath it, the economic, the philosophical, the digital. We've seen how all these grand plans smash up against the financial reality of our lives. And what that does is it forces us to completely reframe the one central question we're all supposed to be asking ourselves. Because ultimately, this isn't just about money anymore. It's about something bigger. It's about agency. It's about whether you want to knowingly provide the most essential fuel, new human beings, to a system where the rules were written by someone else, for someone else's benefit. It's a profound question, and it really gets to the heart of the battle between us as individuals and the massive forces that are trying to shape our world. The choice, for now at least, is still yours.